Entering the Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, the Travelers Championship picks, bets, one and done, full preview, plus a U.S. Open recap. I want to let everyone know if they want to get into a draw for $20 DK dollars, here's what you need to do. Smash the like button for the episode, leave your DraftKings handle in the comment section, and tell me who your one and done is going to be for the Travelers Championship. You going with the superstar? You going with someone from the long shot? Does it depend on where you are? I'm curious to know who the peoples out there are using in their one and done this week. And if you are looking for the Pat Mayo Experience DraftKings Listeners League link, it can no longer be on the YouTube feed because that was a part of our problem to begin with. So here's where you find it now. You can go download the audio podcast. It is in the description of that. Or if you go to facebook.com/thepme, it will be in the description of the video up there as well. It just won't be on YouTube. So if you are watching this on YouTube and you want to find it, go to one of those two places and boom, you're going to find it right away. There's 4,000 spots available this week, $60,000 in guaranteed money. So everyone needs to go jump on that immediately. The 6,000 filled super quickly last week. I imagine that 4,000, even though it is the Travelers Championship, is going to fill all right. If you're looking for my betting cheat sheet, there's no live chat this week. That will be up on my Facebook page as well on Wednesday afternoon. And I want to congratulate everyone who tailed my picks last week. You got a Louis Oosthuizen, top 10, 7-1. Means you only ended up down like 66% of your money. Geoff Fienberg, though, they followed you, sir. They won all the monies. Happy Gary Woodland Day.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful. He played perfect.
He really did play perfect.
It'd been a while. There've been some real painful moments, and to have not have been on him when he won in Phoenix hurt, and then to keep thinking it would come again and coming up empty. And it's a long time, Pat, since we sat in a much smaller room, and I proclaimed I was never Woodland the day he could not beat Super Nintendo Chalmers at the Barracuda. That was a long time ago.
3 years ago.
And we've come through, and obviously I saw the light with Gary, and like all these guys, I mean, he always had the game, but he never had the confidence with the chipping, and I mean, a lot of luck. Happy someone's magic beans fell out of their bag and sprinkled their way into Gary's, but I got no problems.
Do you think that the magic beans fell on the ground when Spieth hit that rake, and Woodland just walked by and was like, hey, magic beans, perfect.
Yeah.
I'll take these.
Potentially. Sure. Absolutely. All around good guy, Gary Woodland. And this goes way beyond the video, which was so popular and fantastic and heartwarming from Phoenix and his relationship with Amy. That's been so well documented. The most watched piece of PGA Tour digital media material, probably because they scrub everything else, like everything real that we'd want to watch.
Yeah, you can't show Jason Duffner line up a 2-foot putt for 20 minutes. Okay, was Duffner like sticking it to someone by doing that? Like, was his playing partner going super slow? So he's like, fuck this, I'm going to take 20 minutes to do this.
You're right. He could have been like, for just throwing a name out there with like Sabatini and like angry about something that happened earlier in the round. Maybe I'm unfairly picking Sabatini, but
I forget who pointed this out. It may have been Josh Perry. I don't really remember. Josh Perry also hit Gary Woodland. Golf Savages also hit Woodland.
Perry had the biggest. He had a 150. That's
the
biggest one that I saw.
Yeah, I saw Tambo tweet out something from January. He was 150 on the book that I use, and I was like, no thanks. I'm not going to take that. Gary Woodland's not going to win. And now here we're sitting and Gary Woodland's a winner. But he said it reminded him of Duffner at the Heritage a few years ago because you remember he had money on Heritage. I had money on Duffner that week too, and he went into the final round with a lead. Then all of a sudden, like the guy couldn't stand over a putt without freezing. It reminded him of that, and I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I remember that happening at the Heritage as well. And the guy could not putt that day.
I mean, just a couple things about Gary Woodland, the golfer.
Where was old Gary who 3 putts to miss the cut from 6 feet that I bet on normally, or I roster on DraftKings?
I can't lie.
If I had not bet on Woodland at Memorial 2 weeks ago, I probably would have bet him this week. But I bet on him then. I was like, good God, I'm never doing this again.
I can only say kind of like betting on Kevin Na Colonial. Like literally you're just waiting for it to happen. And every time it got scary, I made a noise I didn't know my body could make because he just dropped something. It was ridiculous.
Well, Brooks was coming. And that had to have been terrifying.
Yes, I gotta can't not get there, but quickly about Woodland the golfer, because so much was made of his struggles in the lead. And I like that burn, that Barracuda not being able to knock off Chalmers, who having learned more in the last few years, thrilled that Gary got that win because he's almost as good as a
Chalk it up to Stableford scoring that he couldn't end up pulling out that one.
sure. I guess Greg Chalmers, well, I'm calling him Gary Chalmers. Greg, also a world-class human being. But let's not forget, there was a perception that he can't hold a lead. He shot a 65 with the lead in Hawaii, and Xander, what did he shoot, like a 61 or a 62?
Yeah.
Like, that's not choking. That's not choking. So there is that. But yeah, Brooks is Godzilla. It's kind of like, I was as impressed with what I saw this week from Brooks as even the ones that he won. It's unbelievable. He has two second places this year in the majors. He didn't win on a course fit that, I mean, we both sat here. I think we both power ranked him third of the big four in terms of if we were going to bet them.
I ended up doing this on the DraftKings show. I went Tiger, Brooks, DJ, Tiger, then Cantley and Spieth as my bottom two. So Brooks ended up helping me out a bunch on DraftKings.
No,
so my teams were shit.
But I just mean when we were like going over the big four, we were like, if we had to bet them, Tiger might have been my first bet, Dustin, and then Brooks and Rory. And
did you know Dustin lost almost 7 strokes putting over 4 rounds?
Incredible.
He was top 50. He was like top 10 tee to green. Guy couldn't putt. And the big difference between Woodland and Brooks was the putting. That was it.
We'll go back to more relevant players, or I guess we'll talk about him because he's a defending champ. But how about the Bubba stat?
I didn't even see the Bubba stat. What was the Bubba stat?
He was the best player off the tee. Missed the strokes by 6 cut, but he missed the cut by 6 or 7 strokes.
As it turned out, as we talked about in the pre-tournament, that off the tee wasn't going to be super important. You just had to hit the fairway. And if you hit the fairway, you were good. Yeah. And half the time, you didn't even need to hit the fairway. As we saw with guys remember we were doing the Cut Sweat show with Tim. He was all mad that Rory took out driver.
Phil making par from places. But he's Phil. Phil's going to make
But the move was just take out driver and go at it on these short holes and just chip and putt.
Yeah, but that was, to defend Tim quickly, that was the par 5.
That Rory wasn't going to take out his driver?
No, I agreed with you. You take out driver. It's that early in the tournament. If he makes a par, there's enough rounds. Rory had enough looks at birdie to make up a mistake, and he battled back that round. He did actually make double on that hole. Brooks, if you had heavy pieces on Brooks, I know a lot of people were happy to lay the wood again. And even Saturday morning, Pat, he was 8-1. It was his pre-tournament odd. It was very creepy. I knew people that hadn't gotten in yet and literally dropped a hammer fist on it. And
it actually worked out. If you had bet Brooks on Sunday morning, I saw it at 5-1. Let's say you laid a big piece at 5-1 on Brooks. Once he got within 1 stroke of the lead, he was now the favorite. You could have hedged on Woodland if you wanted.
There was that moment when he got within 1 where he was the favorite. He was
like a minus 200.
And I was scared shitless, honestly, the whole time with that start. And Gary had to be as perfect as Gary was, or Brooks Koepka is a bigger legend than he was a week ago.
Brooks's off the tee game really let him down on the back 9. He started spraying it everywhere.
He did, and even a couple irons got away from him.
Yeah.
But again, if I had money on Brooks, I could find those 3 strokes. Even though, granted, he had some insane par saves, two on the second hole Saturday and Sunday were insane. I don't know where we go from here as it pertains to him for the major. I mean, people want to maybe make this British narrative.
I think you just have to not bet him and pray he doesn't win.
Yes,
that's almost what you're doing now.
Probably,
or unless you want to lay the 8 or 7-1.
And I mean, here's this whole thing. I mean, we all probably joked, well, not even, but I think when he first came on tour, I mean, we knew his game was like DJ skill set with a significantly more mature putting and chipping, game.
He was more advanced. He was more advanced to where Dustin was because he could already putt.
And it's funny because I actually
we're lifetime winners on Brooks. All right.
No,
we hit him in his first start.
No, and I remember you making that exact point. I think the week we bet him in Phoenix was this guy does what DJ does at this age, and he literally is the chipper that DJ
became.
Yeah, and you could argue Woodland. I mean, it's a one-off. But people talk about Gary. He came on tour. He was part of that bomb and gouge group that came out. Dustin, Bubba, JB Holmes. But because, his athletic background doing things in other sports, he was really behind the 8 ball in the finesse part of the game. He was a real just a power guy.
Someone pointed out to me, and I wish I had remembered it, that I always preach with Gary Woodland that you always want to play him with these like less than driver tracks.
Yeah.
Because he plays well at the short
We always
courses.
joked he was
completely forgot about
He was
that. for this
American
week.
Stenson.
Yeah.
We said for like
No,
a year.
no one reminded me that I had said that. It would have been nice to know.
There were a lot of really like his, even though it was the Pro-Am, and I guess the scoring was Pro-Am-esque for whatever.
Worked out.
He had great 4 rounds competitively there. Again, Brooks is Godzilla. I don't know what I feared literally every move that Brooks Koepka makes. I feared him. I was a boy when Tiger ran train. I enjoyed it, but I don't think I could appreciate it like to the extent I would now. I'm not saying Brooks is Tiger. That's clearly impossible. But I'm going to appreciate watching this guy play major championship golf with the heart rate of, I mean, I'm always seem to be a little giddy. So his heart rate's like when he's playing in a major is like chilling on the couch. It's incredible.
Trying to find this. I tweeted this out last week, and someone retweeted it at me last night, and I was like, oh, I should have paid attention to that. So what I did was last week I was going through a lot of the fantasy national stats, and almost to talk about your point with Gary Woodland, he had the best scoring average of anyone at Pebble Beach. And then I said I took it out as an average. I said, well, throw it all the rounds, look at average, who gains the most strokes at Pebble Beach of everyone in the field. And I sorted it by strokes gained total. Do you want to know who the list of the guys were?
Was this the stat that popped Chesson for you too?
Number 1 was Xander, who, what did he come? Third?
Tied 3.
Brooks Koepka.
Yeah.
Gary Woodland. Aaron Wise was number 4. Jimmy Walker, Dustin Johnson, Snedeker, McDowell, Rahm, Scott, Casey, Grace, stupid Grace, Lashley, who ended up making the weekend. Like, they should have just taken those guys. That would have worked out much better.
Yeah. And
Stupid Justin Thomas, making me look foolish.
even people like, where was Ricky? Because there was a serious Phoenix correlation.
Yeah, Shez popping up all of a
Brooks,
sudden.
Shez, Gary.
It was that 1 year from Waste Management when it was Woodland and Shez.
Yeah. And also with Woodland, I mean, you could talk about all the amazing things that happened to him, the incredible saves. I would say...
What was his best shot? 17 yesterday? The chip?
Yeah, probably.
Or was it that par save on the par 5 or the chip in on the par 3?
Oh, wait, well, so we're talking yesterday or
just,
the whole
the entire
tournament? Okay, the favorite. The best one, probably the chip-in, because that allowed the chip-in on the 12th.
That's when he went full speed.
And that's when it was like, holy crap. Although we sat here 9 on, for him to finish 8-9 at 1 under when we were doing the cut sweat, where he had that bender par putt for like 20 feet and then hit the 40-footer for birdie to end his round. All incredible. That all being said, I think once Saturday hit, Pat, he didn't need to hit a birdie putt outside of 10 feet because he was giving himself enough really fantastic looks. He made some incredible par saves, but he did not hit really any birdie bombs. Friday on that heater.
Yeah, and to close his round.
And to close his round were the birdie bombs. But yes, everything was like inside 7 feet for birdie when he, and the ones that were like 17 to like 25 feet, he was putting right there until 18, where it was just, I mean, we see that sometimes. Guys just, it's that swag roll, but it felt over for me. I mean, the second Brooks couldn't make birdie on 18, and then it, like simultaneously, Buddy chips, he hits that chip, and we're here. Yeah. And I want to say that it was easy for me to enjoy having the leader as of like the middle of our cut sweat show. So I'm like, people can complain. I'm like, no, whatever's happening with the course I like. So I have a bias, I guess, because I enjoyed the outcome and profited.
Well, we'll get back to the U.S. Open here in a second, because it wasn't just you who won.
There
are a lot of winners out here. So these are some of the Woodland outright tickets that I counted from people that got tweeted at me. I don't think it's all of them. There was a lot coming my direction. There was over like 50 of them coming in my direction. So these are just some of the names that I wrote down. I got Chris Heath, Troy Blades, John Foran, Gray Boy 23, Mike Buckley, L. Donner, the Traveling Scotsman, who I believe has hit 3 winners in a row, Bear, MJ Dodano, Kevin Knight, Fantasy Fred, DFS Duncan, and then we got Sweetie Boy, plus he won $930 on DraftKings by only putting 177 in. And then Kaz hit 2 to make the cut and miss the cut parlays worth over $4,000 on $150 in, and he put $500 on Bubba to miss the cut.
Wow.
at plus money. So that's an impressive, just from the gambling side, that's huge.
Yeah, and I know, like you mentioned, Perry. I know the Golf Savages
They
guys
hit
at Bear Off was on Woodland. So yeah, a lot of people were into it. And I guess just to stick with Gary for a moment, the same day I made that one, Pat, because I know through the half year I was confused whether I had 125 or 150. The confusion was because that same day I made an Open Championship
On
Gary
Gary
wager, and that one's 150. And now I saw him at 40-1 this morning.
So you got good value. I'm throwing this out here, though. I don't think he wins.
Yeah,
the
it's
British
dead
Open.
money, and the book is actually would pay me more than the bet cost because of the
Yeah,
odds
but
switch.
you let it ride now.
So it's like, no.
Did you win it on your book that you owed the money on?
Yes.
So you can bet on that book again?
Yes, there was a book that, books make mistakes. I took the money out. It was like a couple days later, they noticed the mistake. So they had me at a negative in the account. And I feel like I joked with you and like Paul, like, well, I've got 2 Gary Woodland bets in that account. And the only way they'll see that money is if Gary Woodland wins the US Open. Holy shit.
So the other one, if you're members of FantasyNational.com, which we got the Open Championship, we got FedEx Cup playoffs, we got DK bucks to be made. So some big DK winners of Fantasy National members and viewers of the show. Again, everyone, become a member of FantasyNational.com right now. I'm going to screw up his name again. Chris Fertier. Remember him from last week who won 12K?
With the baby
swag, won 15K. Won 12K this week. Boom. That's nice back-to-back baby swag weeks. Frank Arone won a $6,500 seat into the Fantasy Golf World Championship, so competing for that world title. Charles LaRocco, $2,315. Matt 0181 won 2K on $134. Brady Nelson won $2,500. Tim Kuyen won $200. Chris Bua, he won $1,000, and a lot of people really utilized. I got like 7 or 8 of these from Fantasy National members who like parlayed the live strokes gain leaderboard into Sunday Showdown wins. So Jay Bo won the Sunday Scramble. Kevin Tue almost won almost $200 on the Sunday Showdown, so that was awesome. CJ Brimmer, first time playing DraftKings golf in his life. He was inspired after watching the show. Won $20. Better than me. Wish I won $20. It would have been great.
I was all 5 for 6, even a couple.
That wasn't going to cut it.
Even Woodlands, nothing.
I had like 1 or 2.
Kevin Na was really the man that burned my ability. It was a great weekend. But,
I feel like 70% Justin Thomas was not the proper move. I think that wasn't a good one. And the last one, Martin Gose, to say he doesn't have a bunch of cash to chuck in to play DraftKings golf every week. Played a free roll, won $12.
That's
boom,
there
infinite ROI, Jeffrey. And I got the winners from last week of $20 DK. So if you check your account, that's in there right now. Al Robe, BJY3590, Bobbert Swags, Robert 1956, Big D Fish, and Hyperflux are all the winners of 20 DK bucks. I want to go back to the Open for a second. Just some more final thoughts on it. What do you think is the best moment from this year's US Open? Because I thought Friday's round, the one that we did the cut sweats for, was probably the best round of a major. I guess Tiger winning on Sunday was pretty awesome. There's a lot of stuff going on that Friday. You had the Spieth rake. That happened. You had the Poulter chip where he couldn't chip it and made quad. Reed smashing the club over his knee. The Duffner putt. Like, there's a lot going on that day. It was good.
Was the Duffner putt Friday or Saturday?
Oh, maybe it was Saturday. For some reason in my mind, I'm thinking it was on Friday. Did you see the shank, the Sordette shank
on
17? That was good. That was on Sunday, though. Like, what sticks out to you? All those Woodland gigantic
It's all
saves.
the Woodland saves. My whole memory will be the Woodland saves.
I mean, I rode the roller coaster with Louis. Louis' second round was
insane.
I don't think he made a par on the back 9.
18.
He made par on. That was the only one he made par on. Just birdie, bogey, birdie, bogey, birdie, bogey. Even yesterday, he did the exact same thing.
Yeah, and I'm confident to say, Pat, that I don't care what the setup would have been. That leaderboard would have looked nearly identical.
It was a good
at least
leaderboard.
Going into Sunday. Gary, second most greens in regulation, having a career putting week. Justin Rose literally having a historically great
around the green
scrambling total putt week. Brooks Koepka, most greens in regulation, putts for birdie, what feels like 16 of 18 holes around. Shez Reavie hitting 700 feet of putts.
Xander Schauffele now still never having finished worse than 6th in a U.S. Open in his career.
Yeah, I because I actually even went back to look at the Aaron Hills leaderboard. He was like fifth there or something.
Yeah, he's been 5th, 6th, and 3rd now in his
Incredible.
U.S. Open career.
Incredible.
I mean, if the whole point of setting up a golf course, and like people were like crying, that's playing like a U.S. Open does.
But I don't.
It's not +7.
I don't
fuck
thi-
off.
I don't.
The big thing is the U.S. Open is supposed to be set up so the best players in the world end up at the top of the leaderboard. The people playing the best talent, and that's exactly what happened.
Yes, and I will say the people that were complaining, I don't think they have a true understanding of the golf course we were on. They only like its name and they think it's a cool place, but I don't think they have a true understanding of what makes it, how it gets to where it gets.
Like if one of the days the wind is 25 miles per hour instead of like the 10 that it was all week, all of a sudden the scores are like -2.
And here's the thing. They book these things 8 years in advance. Much like what happened in Aaron Hills. When they have like 80-year historical weather trends for that week of June shows 24-mile-an-hour winds, and they don't happen that week. It's like an Open Championship. The course just becomes defenseless. And for a defenseless course with so many short par 4s, they played over par. We had par 5s playing to true par 5s. The sun did not come out after Tuesday. It literally did not show its face. The greens you want, it's impossible. It's an oceanside course. The greens retain a level of moisture.
Especially with everyone crying, too.
Yes,
That really helped out
for
the softness
them
of the
to
greens.
do what people wanted them to do, they would have probably had to destroy those greens for public consumption for over a year.
Yeah, and that wasn't going to happen. Pebble Beach,
Like,
Pebble
I'm just
Beach
saying,
wasn't having
if
that.
they were gonna like literally, oh my god, the sun's not coming out, the wind's down, we've got to like nuclear these greens, that was going to destroy them for public use for a year and a half. I want to make the case, Pat. I don't think we had a championship hold its integrity through 4 days in my memory like this one. I don't think there was a wave advantage really for any tee time in any of the 4 days.
The morning played slightly easier for Thursday and Friday.
But
But it's like, but that
okay.
evened out to both waves.
That's like,
So it didn't matter.
So I don't recall. I mean, obviously there's ones that can be remembered, and obviously again I have an afterglow as it pertains to this tournament. So I have a bias that has me thinking positively about it. But the perfect storm happened because Shinnecock last year was essentially like Bill Parcells as your head coach. And then this year they hired Wade Phillips. Next year, maybe they'll try to bring it back. But if you want to play on that landmark golf course, then you have to play with the variables. We're going to go to St. Andrews with this modern game, with these modern players, with these modern balls, Pat. And if it's not windy, holy fuck what might happen the next time we go there. As these kids coming up and everyone just does it farther and better and straighter. Like we're like, right?
I think so, yeah. That you're going to have to rely, but that's going to be the fun of it too. That there's going to be, if we do get that win, then it's going to be a shit show.
Exactly.
And that's fun.
But I'm saying like the next time we go to St. Andrews and the wind is down, like these guys are going like it's going to, what, Louis shot like a 20 there or something?
When
No,
he
maybe.
beat Casey. I think it was 16.
Something. But
What did Zach Johnson win at? I feel like that was pretty low too.
So I'm just saying, I don't know, with how the game is trending and the how big and strong and thick.
The only thing that I could see people having a problem with was they could have drawn the rough out more to make it more detrimental to missing the fairway, because it didn't seem like it was tough to get out sometimes, but it was like easy to get out 75%.
Well, I think in a perfect world they saw Thursday and Friday, and the tournament starts as Thursday and Friday, and they see they're going to have almost like pretty identical weather for 2 days. And we don't want people yelling at us for 4 days. So let's just like wait till Saturday to like really play with things. And then it got to Saturday and they had 2 days of literally even playing conditions. And they saw it could be literally even again Saturday. And they did not want to take the risk of doing something. I mean, they really screwed up last year.
Yes.
Great shots were not rewarded. Dustin was like putting it 7 feet to the pin and it's like bouncing to Neverland last year.
It's okay. He probably wouldn't have made the putt anyway. As
Probably,
we found out this week.
Probably, but I don't know. That championship on that course, I thought, credit to everybody involved.
I know Tiger shot 2 under on Sunday. It did seem like the cold was not his friend this week.
And he made a comment after that doesn't seem like he's going to play again, because the media kept saying, when are we going to see you again? And he goes, well, if you got a cell phone camera, you'll probably see me again, but I might not be on a golf course again. And he acknowledged that he practices at home. He practices in Florida. And unfortunately, there will be no sweater days of practice. Like, he doesn't you don't practice with a sweater in South Florida. So that could be an issue again. He looked uncomfortable out there. He did. Something seemed off.
And I don't think it's going to be like spicy in Northern Ireland, even in July. I'd worry about that. Especially if it gets super windy, it gets kind of cold, maybe it gets a bit rainy, maybe Tiger's glutes don't activate. That would worry me a little bit for him. But the other one is Hovland. Do you like the stoned Rory take? That is what he looked like.
Again, I think
Is his career over now that Tim has officially proclaimed him as like the new #1 player in the world? He's jumped off Cameron Champ, though, which we'll get to here in a second when we talk about the Travelers.
Tim is so...
Your baby swag beat Tim's Anderkers.
Hold on. I need to clarify this. Because, I mean, it's good. I guess any good juju helps when you're, like, trying to go against the Anderkers. I don't know how it quantifies as baby swag.
Because is the first time you mentioned it
Okay,
on
fine.
the show right after he brought the curse. So it went curse versus baby swag. We gave you the congratulations, and all of a sudden Gary Woodland isn't Gary Woodland anymore.
Yes, but I also said when he cursed it that Gary Woodland, doesn't need help missing 3-putting from 6 feet if it was going to eventually happen. He can do that all by himself. But also that Gary Woodland is such a mensch, as they say in my community, that he has all the good karma, that there's no, like, it would offset his good vibes that the universe owed him in some level of equilibrium. We're going to offset any of Tim's bad juju.
And maybe the curse was just still doing more damage on the Warriors.
Yeah, sure.
Like, I'm surprised like Iguodala didn't turn up in the ICU or something like that. But whew, he said it was going to be a curse-free June. So far, it's not looking that way. But Hovland is now his guy. Cameron Champ no longer the guy. Broadcast? I didn't watch much with the sound on, so I can't really... I tend to watch golf with the sound off. I find it more pleasurable that way. But having as we were kind of watching it here when we were doing the Cut Sweat shows, how I watch it at home, I have that feed of holes 7, 8, and 17 going at the same time as I'm watching the broadcast. It's very helpful to watch, by the way.
It's amazing, Pat, that like Danny Willett could play 3 holes in 8 minutes.
Yeah. Here's Willett on the tee at 7. Oh, here he is putting for birdie on 9.
Literally within 8 minutes, he's on the tee on 1 hole, putting for birdie on an X because he had that great little run on Saturday, but it happened in like an 8-minute window, and I wish he had one more birdie would have gotten him a top 10.
But you need the top 8.
Oh, I'm not even talking about payday. Just like
getting the U.S. Open.
It's coming.
He's close, man.
It is.
These short, hard courses are Danny Willett tracks.
It is coming. I saw a book last night. His Portrush number bothered me. It was so short.
How short was it? 80?
This was a European book, like right in his backyard. It was like a 50 or 60. But
50 or 60?
You could tell me what the
50
book...
or 60?
Tell me what we like to use has.
I will go look right now.
Because it's a book that I do use, but I don't... I was really... It was a kick in the nuts to see that that it's a spicy short number.
Willett's 80.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't love that.
I'm not ready. Yeah, I'm like...
in the era of good vibes that we have right now, it's just like the Monroe era is back. But Rory wins the Players, Tiger wins the Masters, Brooks wins the PGA. Good story with Gary Woodland winning. Is there any chance Graham McDowell doesn't win the Open Championship? Maybe Poulter wins? Finally gets his career major? Like, is this just the year of storylines?
For sure.
And then Spieth can come back and win the FedEx Cup because he didn't make the finals last year? Everyone just wraps up all their narratives. It's a closed loop.
I'm still shocked by Ricky's Friday.
You hit the fucking winner, man.
No, I like the guy.
Let it go.
I know. Puma Golf, man.
You were complaining on the live show about Ricky while having the guy in the lead.
Well, I just don't like I don't know, man.
Let me ask you this. Whose career would you rather have from now for the rest of time? Ricky Fowler or Sam Burns?
So you're going to say Gary Woodland.
Or Sam Burns. Who's better?
Ricky Wood.
No, I don't know.
Ricky Fowler.
I don't know about that. Would you rather be Byung-Hun An or Ricky Fowler? Because I think I'd rather be Byung-Hun An.
Ricky Fowler.
I don't know. Troy Merritt or Ricky Fowler?
Fowler.
I think I'll take Troy Merritt. Sung Kang or Ricky Fowler? Probably Kang, right? If we're talking about who wins a
Okay,
major
I'll be
first.
honest.
If we're talking about who wins a major first.
Because I actually had this thought lying. I hit the winner, and I'm lamenting about Ricky lying in bed. But
Having a beat?
no,
Ricky
because to me, the best two players in the world, hands down, without the major, are Rahm and Xander. But they don't count because like you can't put them
too
on the
young?
clock. Ricky and Kuchar might qualify, but then you can make the case like to even put Ricky in that conversation. If you wanted to play devil's advocate, if Ricky's in that conversation, then shouldn't like.
Snedeker?
I'm trying to think of someone better than Snedeker, because I was like gonna say Streelman, but give me someone better than Streelman, like Snedeker. Like, why is Snedeker not like what has Ricky done? Nothing.
Why isn't like Paul Casey in that mix? Paul Casey's challenged at majors. He has 3 wins on the PGA Tour. Ricky has 4 or 5.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look at like some other names that would probably be fair to put there. Like, why isn't like Mark Leishman like? I don't know.
I think it's because those guys are slightly older than Ricky, but yeah, I'm with you.
I'm just basing it on like career, like resume. If you didn't like see the time, you weren't looking like this guy's special or different or good. I mean, he falls into a trap of just being so goddamn likable, and I can't help it.
Seems like a good guy.
Yeah, and you see that Hovland kid, and you're like, I see that face, and I'm like, that is likability 101.
Stoned Rory.
Likability 101. So,
well, the big thing that I really gleaned from Pebble this time around was, Bombers did really well. When we go back and look at the final leaderboard, you get your Chez Reeves, you get your Chesson Hadleys that end up at the very top, but you get your Brooks, Woodland, Rose, Xander, like guys, Rory. Rory. Yeah, another top 10 in California.
Rahm.
But all these guys, and this kind of spills into the Travelers a little bit, because if you go back and look at outside of Spieth, really, Bombers do really well at TPC River Highlands. Despite it being 6,800 yards and a Pete Dye course. Like, just even look at the leaderboard last year. JB Holmes, Paul Casey, Bubba Watson. I mean, any place that Bubba's won 3 times has to be an off-the-tee course, doesn't it? I know it still ends up being a second shot course because the greens are tiny and you can make so many.
But you can bomb. You can
just hit drive wherever you want
and gouge this place very effectively.
Yeah, only 2 par 5s, but you do have the drivable par 4, number 14 or 15, I want to say. But it yielded 9 eagles last year, 8 the year before, and 95% of the players in the field actually go at the green on that hole. So, are you excited about this tournament? Because I went back and reviewed my notes. I actually hit the winner here 2 of the past 3 years. I'm excited about that. We hit Bubba last year, hit Knox 3 years ago, missed on Spieth, had Berger, missed on Spieth when he chipped in to win. That was no fun. But here we are. What are your thoughts on the Travelers?
I was sort of just maybe like that morning after some of these other majors, blown away at this field. And I saw people lamenting that their weeks were over early at the U.S. Open, so they were like getting a head start at the Travelers. And I saw some like comments.
A lot of these guys made the cut though.
I saw a lot of comments about how strong the field was, but again, when it's like Friday night and you got the leader, you're not. I don't give
really
a shit.
Too worried about. That?
I'll worry about the Travelers when I get blown out of here.
So what you're saying is you didn't spend your Sunday on Fantasy National going through the Travelers field, be like, oh, how about this guy?
That's essentially
Ryan Moore's looking good.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Although full credit to Chris for loading that up.
I know.
And oh my God, can that guy hit a golf ball?
He also went on Google Maps this morning. If you check out Chris's,
said that to me. I gotta look at it.
Yeah. He did a Google Maps aerial course breakdown of TPC River Highlands. I just retweeted it out. Everyone should go check it out. Okay. It's funny too.
Oh,
he's off for the summer now. He's got time to fill.
He's doing like trick shots. He's showing his buddies hitting trick shots. I love it.
Fucking crushes it on the tee.
He made an up and down that I couldn't even. That Woodland wouldn't have even made. That his buddy filmed him like making. Like a downhill, thick, rough, greenside lie. This might have been a year ago. I don't know. He's amazing.
Oh, I should let people know. If they are in the Minnesota area, I will be attending one of the rounds, either Thursday or Friday, the 3M in 2 weeks. That'll be fun.
Team Moose?
Team Moose. Me and Moose are going to go. You can check out Team Fantasy National with the 3M.
That'll be, that could almost be like a mini tout convention.
Yeah, we'll get Bergerson out. We'll get Zach out.
Hey, Ryfro's out there, right?
Is Ryfro there? Hey, if you're in Minnesota,
I think so, yeah.
Someone else is there too.
A lot of guys. Perry?
I think Perry's in Arizona.
No, not Josh Perry.
Hit the Hydro.
Yeah, Hit the Hydro.
Formerly Dixon Cider.
I'm not familiar with that.
That used to be his Twitter handle.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, we got names here. A lot of them made the cut. Do you worry before we jump in?
Always.
do you want to take guys that either missed the cut or didn't play last week? Because Bubba missed the cut last year at the U.S. Open and came out and won. Spieth made the cut at Erin Hills, but he was like done after Friday.
Brooks didn't he win Forrest right out of the PGA last year, Brooks? Or there might have been something between it. Northern Trust. I thought that was like the week after the PGA Championship.
Brooks? Bryson, yeah.
Sorry, Brooks wins.
But I'm just talking about this one. This one in particular, I think, is super iffy, and maybe it doesn't matter. These guys all.
Oh, you're saying you're less afraid of the.
No, I'm saying you're coming from California to Hartford. Like that's
far.
Time zone differences. You just like if you were competitive at the U.S. Open, and the only reason I mentioned that Spieth thing because at Erin Hills, he was like the first guy out on Sunday. Like he was not competitive at Erin. He made the cut, but I think he ended up coming like T33. Played a good round to finish it off, but it's not like that was super far going from Wisconsin. I mean, it is far, but it's not like going from California to Hartford. And last year, going from Shinnecock Hills to Hartford's like a train ride. That's no big deal. So I am actually putting a bigger weight on guys that either didn't play last week or missed the cut last week. And when I went back and looked at like
that pops for somebody.
This is a bunch in the strokes gained stuff that I went back and looked at. I put it in my column this week. The guys that gained the most strokes of this tournament, and just to see like the top of the leaderboards, guys that play well at Riviera and Valspar have a fantastic history here. Obviously, Bubba's won 3 times at each. Bubba came inside the top 10 at Valspar this year. Paul Casey's won Valspar twice. He's come runner-up at Riviera. He's come runner-up twice at this course, 2 times in the past 4 years. Spieth has won both Valspar and this. Kevin Streelman has won Valspar and this. I think there's something to it. I really do. So if you want to run like a correlation, and you can do that very easily if you hold down tab on Fantasy National, pick the courses on the left-hand side and just highlight Valspar, Riviera, and this course, see who pops. You might even want to throw in, I don't know, Quail Hollow, because that one correlates pretty well, more so for bombers. But I thought that was very interesting. Does that do anything for you? If James Hahn was still alive, maybe he would win.
No, that does.
James Hahn hurt, or is he just like not on the tour anymore? I have no answer to that question. I was wondering if you knew.
There's a couple guys that actually makes me think about, to be honest. Patrick Reed.
Oh, I thought you meant guys that aren't on tour anymore or could be hurt.
Sorry, I mean like your course corollary.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
Let's talk about the top of the board then. We'll talk about everyone from 20 to 1 and below. We got Brooks. He playing. He's 6.5 to 1. It's funny that he's 6.5 to 1 here and he opened it like 7 to 1 last week. Cantlay's 10 to 1. Spieth 14, Molinari 16, Day 18, JT and Paul Casey both 20 to 1. Of all of those guys, I don't think I'm going to touch anyone near the top end because I am going to say, I have 4 guys right now, and they're all from beyond 66 to 1. So I do have room for someone in this range. I think I like Justin Thomas again. He missed the cut last week. Again, it was his putter that let him down. It's not that he played incredibly well at Pebble Beach. Clearly, he did not. And putting it into the ocean in the first round really derailed his entire week. But the ball striking wasn't bad. But the putter, once again, second week in a row, not so great.
There are 3 people under 40 to 1 that could have my consideration, and Justin Thomas is one of them. And I'm also just sick in the head enough to think about Paul Casey.
Casey, like I mentioned, he has in his past 4 starts here, he has 2 runners up and a 5th. And obviously, he had the lead. He should have won last year. He lost by 3 shots to Bubba last year.
Insane.
I don't know how that's possible.
And that really
remember when he got stuck behind that tree in the middle of the fairway?
And that really started this guy's no, because he had won Valspar last year.
Yeah.
So we thought
it's over for him. He can do it now.
We weren't as confident that he was going to gas can it as we probably would have been maybe before that. But I don't know. He didn't miss the cut, so it's not. We don't have that thing from after the players that we like to joke about. But
he played well, actually.
He played fine, decent, but he never found himself in a moment of he played 4 rounds of golf on a beautiful golf course.
I did want to throw this out here too, because I was talking to Paul about it before we came in. Remember, you were lamenting. I mean, as you enjoy to do, about how you haven't hit winners ever. And then in the span of 4 weeks, you hit a 66 to 1 Kevin Na, then 125 to 1 Gary Woodland. Now you can't lose for the year.
I feel pretty good. I
think that people need to realize that, in terms of golf betting, and if you can structure it each week that this is how much you bet, and if you hit, this is what you're gonna win. You have to be able to win enough to maintain a 2-month cold streak because it happens.
Yeah. And I got ice. And
now you're running hot.
Yeah. And there. I don't know. People that have watched us long enough know at some point
It-
we'll find it.
We mentioned this at the beginning of the year too when we were super hot. Like, hey, this is gonna stop, and all of a sudden we're gonna go
Yeah.
cold, and you got to be able to push through it.
It's not our fault that like the first year we did it, we had like an outlier Gary Woodland
It's true.
putting week that now you guys like us for an extended period of time. I can't control that happenstance.
Listen, it was a very profitable year for all of us. But anyway, I wanted to throw that out there because people kind of get up, they get down, but like, if you have confidence to do what you're doing, and like, listen, you should never bet anything more than you have, and that isn't entertainment money, and then everything's just gravy. Then it doesn't matter if you win or lose, and if you do win, it's awesome.
And I'll put it out there, because people are like, "How much did you bet?"
You would bet more on Gary Woodland than I had thought you had. Because remember when you asked me on the live show if you should cash out for $550?
Yeah.
I did not realize the piece that you had on it. I thought that was like a sizable part of the
I'll
win.
say that bet is bigger. That paid more than like I would regularly do.
It was like the Willett thing because you made it so long ago.
Yes, and with like a Willett future or a future at Christmas time, Daddy must have had a nice NFL Sunday.
Yeah.
The Chargers must have had a nice win. Like for me to go dipping in that market.
Yeah.
At that time. So let's be clear. There
Sometimes
were a
you
few
get
extra.
lucky.
Yeah. So it was more than a normal bet. I don't think I bet nearly as high as like some people think I bet.
No.
Some people are like, yeah, like I did not have $100 on it. I did not have $20 on it.
You were somewhere in between.
Yeah. And that's it. And for me, it's great. I'm in a part of my life where my wife is expecting a second child in 6 weeks. We're moving again. I cannot like go crazy stakes and get cold for 2 months.
Yeah.
Like at this exact moment in
good on
my life.
Good on you for being able to manage that.
Yeah,
though.
like I get it, and I am in situations because life is freaking expensive. So timing, it's like a weird interpersonal thing. How like, I don't know, it was very well timed. Thank you, Gary, very much.
So no interest in the Koepka's Cantlay's. Cantlay one shot 60 here. It was like either amateur.
Cantlay, our buddy, I don't want to get him wrong, but Joe, he's done great stuff on Twitter.
He does great things. He's a very classy guy.
He's literally like crushes those golf. He plays those Golf Channel Am Tour events and like shows off his trophy. And he was on Woodland also, and he touted that he's got a bit of a sharp buddy who recommended 5-star max wagers on the Cantlay versus Spieth. Plug your nose, lay the 50 cents prop. And it took 4 days, but Cantlay got ahead of Spieth.
What do you make of Spieth this week? Returns to a happy place. This when I talked to you earlier in the year when we made that Tiger versus Spieth.
You're counting on stuff
it was.
like this.
I didn't expect this field to show up for the Travelers, but hopefully, Spieth will play like the John Deere,
the
too,
Wyndham,
and stuff like that. But this is one of the ones that I had circled. Like even if Spieth is playing poorly, he can do well here. He lost strokes off the tee the year that he won here.
And I'm not gonna lie, I'm sort of concerned. I look at like Tiger's schedule and think like outside of Eastlake, like what is really left where I think he might pull something off, because I'm not like throwing stones. I love the guy to death, but for how little golf he's played since the Masters, he just looks freaking exhausted.
I know. He's an old man. He's not chewing CBD gum the entire time and like making Instagram videos.
But I got no issues. You come play your 8, 10, 12 events a year, and I love you every time you hit the ball.
Win one major a year will be good,
Oh
Tiger.
my God. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, he's like, he doesn't know when it really doesn't seem like he's going to play again before the major. So, okay, sorry, let's move on.
So Thomas is really the only one that I'd consider down at this price in this sort of tournament based on...
You just feel like you're riding those irons and...
Yeah, I feel like, not to say a scrub is going to win. There's a way more talent this year in Hartford than there normally is. Or, sorry, Cromwell.
And even...
Cromwell, Connecticut. Ooh.
Casey versus Bubba for last year's field was probably like... Although it was a nice Bubba now. It was 30 to 1?
It was 30 to 1, yeah.
But that's not a scrub finish.
No. And JB was the other guy who we had too, which was nice.
I might not have.
Big each way on JB last year. So the rest of the field from the 20 to 40, you got Leishman, former winner here. Tommy's here. Bryson, Louis, Snedeker, Finau, Bubba at 35. And then it just drops Patrick Reed at 50. So that's like your second tier of guys. I'm not really enamored with this. The only one that I mean, Casey, yes, does intrigue me. Like, it's probably Bubba or Finau, to tell you the truth. Doesn't this kind of feel like a Tony week? If there's a place where he can win?
I had mentioned that there are 3 players under 40 that I would consider, Thomas, Casey being the 2 below, and it is Finau for me up here. Bubba might blindly be the better bet because
never won it back-to-back years.
He has won here. He did miss the
Won
cut
here 3 times.
He got here probably nice and quick. Like, he's just back from being in an unhappy place to a happy place. Can make that happy place even happier.
Yeah, maybe.
If right,
you go from being in the dumps to a place that you love, then
obviously the place you really like is a place. Yeah.
My big thing is that he's not having a Bubba year at the Bubba tracks like he did last year. Like, he won at Riviera,
but he played really well at Valspar, which the week of we're like, oh, this is really weird. Bubba was playing well. That's when we're like, oh my god, Bubba's like playing well at a Valspar. So there's that.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know.
I guess he kind of stormed a little bit at the Masters.
As it worked last week, a guy that likes to bet people that really don't win. I mean, can we go from good guy to good guy?
Oh, does that mean Patrick Reed is going to win?
Oh, I don't mind Patrick Reed. He's a Valspar guy. If you had the confidence to think he could outrun a U.S. Open field a week ago,
mainly that was because it was 100-1, and the bet on Patrick Reed that I made is that the course would play a whole lot tougher than it did, and it did.
Fair. And he's the guy that got that embarrassing, like, USGA got these guys clip.
I like that he really
loved it.
He really shrugged it off too.
Oh,
he was fucking pissed. Snaps the club. He's like, all right, I feel better now.
I thought for one moment he was going to launch the flag. He grabbed the flag himself. Oh, that would have been freaking amazing for him to just dart the flag, javelin it.
I haven't touched anyone in this range. Bryson looks like he got his game a little bit back together last week. And like we've seen with Bryson,
I know.
Just takes a little bit. And all of a sudden, Bryson's back.
Shucks. Okay, you got to add that name because he did show some things. And it's sort of, I do feel like, Pat, I'm confident to say we're going to have a summer of moment. Like, he's going to have a peak summer moment.
Feels like he's too good not to.
And I think it might happen before the Open, and then everyone's going to get really excited for the Open.
Oh, you think that he's going to win John Deere again? I mean, he might be beyond that. Is he in Vegas? Is over at Wentworth this week?
Did you see Kevin Na went to Korea?
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder why.
There's an event, some Asian tour or something.
All right. So, yeah, last week...
There is a nice event overseas.
Last week at the U.S. Open, Bryson DeChambeau... was even to the field off the tee, gained 4.5 strokes, which was some of the most of anyone in strokes gained approach. Lost 4.5 around the greens. Dude could not chip, but that's not really a big concern here. And he gained 4 strokes putting.
I could be on him.
Came 22nd, then 35th.
We spoke about, like, you saw the sign. Like, if you see signs, you got to just... If the signs are there, you have to triple check and consider it. So I'm going to say right now, I'll be triple checking a potential Bryson wager, because when the arrow starts to point,
you want to get on board. And 30-1 is a pretty good number.
Yeah, it's like 35. I mean, I think his number was actually peaking a bit last week because there was probably not much action on him. I saw it get
some people got
pretty high. Yeah, I saw it get really high. Some books floating stuff.
This next range, the 50 to 100s, is where this is my range. All the guys that didn't play last week that come in with either good crossover, good ball striking numbers. So I went in this range. I got 4 plays. Ryan Moore at 66. Emiliano Grillo, who did make the cut last week, but didn't perform all that well at 70, plays this course really, really well. And dude could not putt to save his life last week.
I like that a lot. I'm triple starring it.
Kokrak at 66.
I was going to ask you about him.
Adam Hadwin at 70. Hadwin has won at Valspar and plays really well at Riviera for not a bomber, too. And again, his ball striking is coming back. Everything that was wrong with his game from basically Pebble through the Masters is now kind of turned the switch a little bit. The arrows are pointing back up. And these guys are well rested. They're coming in. I feel like we may have missed the boat with Kokrak. Like he may have missed his peak.
Yeah, he couldn't win while his game, like a Graham Dillette sort of window where the game was so on point, but we were so close a couple times, but didn't get the win.
This is a track where he's performed well in the past. He's made 4 or 5 cuts here. Came second at Valspar. Played historically really well at Genesis as well. And you can get a good, like all these numbers are good with the each way too. And I think that 2 of these guys will end up being in contention. Then the ones that I can't figure out yet are like Ben An is 75. Then you got Sungjae sitting at 75. He was forced to take a week off, Jeff.
So
I think it's going to work out for the kid.
those are two players I want to talk about. Of the first four, Grillo and Hadwin would be my preferred, but I have bet Byung Hun An at 80. I worry that, well, he didn't have like a moment, like he wasn't in contention. He did make the cut. He did play under par.
He came top 20. He was fine.
I do believe maybe playing with Saturday at a major championship with Tiger Woods, outside of being in a major, like a winning feeling pressure, that might be the most mentally exhausting thing you can endure or like have to experience outside of actually being in the hunt for the tournament.
Well, they were playing for the title of best Asian golfer on the planet. Head to head. I think Benny Ann won.
He did win. And Wu tied DJ yesterday. The Stanford
Oh,
Amateur.
I'm gonna say Siwoo was no. I did bet on Siwoo Kim this week, by the way. He's over 100 to 1 again, and we're at a Pete Dye course. This sets up perfectly for him.
Sung Jae also really caught my eye. I needed to like double check with an aficionado that he didn't like feel a need to go play in the web.com last week. I'm not even kidding.
You played it at like a local mini
There was
tour?
a web.com. There was a web. I was like, I had to make sure he didn't play on the web before I like before I come on the show and say exactly what you said. He got a week off. I feel like we gotta get on him. We've been asking for him to take a week off, and we'll bet him.
So I don't know if I want those two guys, Ann and Im, because there's a whole bunch of intriguing names in this entire area. Like you could talk me into Streelman or Knox for one thing. They're both at 60. They both won at this course before. And Streelman's coming in like playing fire golf, by the way.
Keegan?
I don't know. And then we drop down a little bit more. You have Keegan
90.
Lucas Glover 90, Putnam 80. Like all these guys are kind of playing well. So I might just kind of dump on this range, play some each ways, and not take a single player below 66. Like if I don't have a big investment at the top on a Casey or a JT or something like that, I can see myself, kind of picking and choosing three other guys in this range, or maybe even a little bit lower on the card and filling up, allocating my money that way. And it's still not going to end up being as much money as if I picked two guys in the 20s. Like Kisner 75. Kisner just won at a die course in the match play.
Wait, he just ejected quickly, right? I don't
No,
even remember.
he made the cut.
I see.
He was fine.
I
He
don't
just
even
kind of
remember.
treaded water all weekend. And he finished like 40th. But he played there. Hovland. So should we talk about the big four?
Let's do it.
So Hovland is 70 to 1. Let's see here. Where's Matthew Wolf? Matthew Wolf is now 110 to 1.
They've both dropped.
Yeah. Morikawa is still 150 to 1. I know on European books, these guys are like 400 to 1, which would be fantastic. I didn't see where Sue is, but he's somewhere on here too. He's lower than those guys. So these four guys, all recently turned pros. This is Hovland's first start as a pro. It's Wolf's first start as a pro. The problem with Hovland is he's been incredibly Andercursed, Jeff. When the guy that is no longer Andercursed is 200 to 1 at Cameron Champ, who I have bet on. You got to throw at least $10 on Cameron Champ to win this.
Well,
week.
we've been asking all year for Tim to like get off Cameron Champ so we can then find him again.
So here's what happened with Cameron Champ. He had that nice stretch through the swing season. He won, and then he ended up coming top 10 at the the OHL and the RSM. Back-to-back-to-back weeks. So Tim was watching it with me at the RSM. He saw Champ hit like 5 shots. He's like, this guy is incredible. Yes. I'm on board. Breakout player of the year. Since he's finished inside the top 40 once, got hurt, and missed 5 of 10 cuts. But now he's back, and he's uncursed. Remember when this happened to Bryson? Tim was all over Bryson. Said Bryson was the greatest player. Then he gave up on Bryson. What happened? Bryson won 2 weeks later. Then he turned into the summer of Bryson the next year. Now Tim hates Bryson. Cameron Champ, I think we just got to bet him.
I agree with
Bet
you.
him every week the rest of the year.
I can't understate that Tim literally watched golf with you for 2 hours and decided Cameron Champ was the greatest golfer. And
it wasn't even the week that he won.
And literally because, the major, the exact same things he's now saying about Victor. So God bless you, Victor.
Interesting thing about Cameron Champ, though, when he did have the success earlier in the year, like he won Sanderson Farms, he placed really well at RSM, and he placed really well at OHL. Those are 3 really short courses, by the way. And this is a off the tee track, and he's still gaining a ton of strokes off the tee. He can go bomb and gouge here. So I don't hate the 200 to 1 with that each way. But Wolf, Hovland, I like Wolf more than I like Hovland, I think.
I'm curious to see what hat and gear Victor's wearing. Who's paying that piper? Because that'd be a fun walking off 18 yesterday, knowing that your rate just went up. It's
Yeah,
pretty good.
it was a nice final AM performance for him.
Like, hopefully his agent hadn't been sitting on a deal and just like it got a fresh negotiate.
Who do you hope he goes with?
In my opinion, to me, the coolest setup in golf are the guys that are team tailor made but wear the Nike apparel.
Okay.
To me, that's my favorite.
Like Tiger?
Yeah, there are a lot of guys, Tiger, Rory. There are a lot of guys who fall into that. Jason Day. Yeah, there are a lot of guys who fall into that. And pardon my ignorance, because Brooks wears the Nike apparel, but he's got like I'm not even sure what's in his bag.
I have no idea.
Because he still uses like a Nike 3-iron. And they stopped making clubs like 5 years ago, or when Tiger sort of was dead.
That's the one part of golf that I like. I know people get really, you really get into like the gear. That
Yeah, I
people
like
wear.
it. I
And,
don't
like
know.
people like what they have in the bag. There's nothing I could really care less about.
I care more about the gear than what they can have in the bag, because it's like me playing with Roger Federer's like tennis racket that would have like a sweet spot of this.
Yeah.
Like, no, I want to buy the club that like is as forgiving as possible and will still go as far as possible when I hosel rock it.
The other guy who had a really like he made the cut at the U.S. Open and like tee to green was good but couldn't sink a putt was Kyle Stanley, and he kind of fits the mold of guys who could play well here. I'm not going to bet him, but I thought I'd share that with the audience.
I know you kind of mentioned a lot of guys really that I would be keying on, from On to Hadwin, Grillo, Kisner, Putnam. I Keegan. It's an intriguing range. Joakim Niemann seems to be statistically the worst putter in the universe, and we like really bad putters, but this is a guy that I don't know.
Gary Woodland, by the way, big win for Team Can't Putt.
Yeah. You suck
Big
around
win.
the greens until you don't suck around the greens, as our boy Wiley Golflandia pointed out. You're like 164 scrambling until you're not 164 scrambling.
He gained over 8 strokes putting.
Unconscious.
I think that's what he's gained total the rest of the year. Yeah, I don't really see anyone else from like down on this list that I find super intriguing. Like I said, Cam Champ is probably it. Should we do anything with Wolf? Russell Henley has a really good.
Streelman's been so good and sneaky, but I don't know. It's annoying to see him priced shorter than.
It's because he's won here before too, and he comes in with a bunch of good finishes in a row.
Credible sneaky DK finishes for me in his little run. Yeah.
Siwoo track.
Why not?
Coming off.
It's got the RSM. It's got a lot of corollaries.
Hey, it's a Pete Dye course. He has the second most strokes gained at Pete Dye courses the past 5 years.
Hughes win RSM?
Mackenzie Hughes did win RSM, yeah. He did. And Siwoo's coming off like the other type of Siwoo week that you don't like to see. He was almost DFL.
At least he's committed to the Ricky Bobby lifestyle.
Oh yeah, first or last. That's the way it's got to be. He does have 3 top 5s already this year, though. Your boy Fratelli's kind of interesting. He's 150.
Big number.
Like they're really hanging that one out there, and he's really good off the tee, and that actually does play a factor this week. More so, it seems kind of strange to think at such a short course that off the tee would matter so much, but at least in comparison to approach, it's actually one of the closest ones you'll find on tour all year.
And weren't we like 2 weeks off of like a love affair with Uline at Memorial?
That's because he had played well at Memorial, and he was coming off like a T5.
I think Kyung Hoon, they keep hanging these 175s. You probably still got to each way it, but he's better than that number, man. Like we see it each week. He's a he
does linger.
He's not he's not first page linger, but he's a second page linger like every time he plays.
Yeah, not afraid to be T17 midway through the third round.
That seems to be his forte. So I don't know if DraftKings wants to price him like the books. That could be a smart little play. But 175, I have seen far more out of him than a consortium of players in that range.
Someone I'm looking for and I can't find.
Cam Champ?
No, Champ's 200 to 1. I know that. Where's the Gooch?
Give me the Gooch.
You see the Gooch on here? Maybe he's not playing, but he's someone I just had starred in my notes that I wanted to kind of go back to. I don't see him.
No, but you got to bet Seb Straka, first round leader, and hope one of his 2 really low rounds is the first one in the first.
He's not afraid to go low. He's also not afraid to shoot like 78 following up a nice low round. If you see that Seb Straka has a really good round 1, would you actively find the 3-ball against him the next day?
Okay, here's one I got. I don't know. But I have a question.
Okay.
2 weeks ago, in Hamilton. Jonas Blix is 80-1, 70-1. Short course. I don't know whether there was a history there that led people there, but this is also a 225. He didn't play poorly in Hamilton.
No, and now he's back at a Pete Dye course, which is where he tends to play
And
well.
granted, yes, you do probably need 3 2-under rounds and 1 insane round. And
But
that's
he has that in him.
yeah,
we know
that's if you had to make a sheet of who can shoot 60, he would be in my top 10 because he just when he does it doesn't actually shoot 60, but I think golf fans kind of know what I'm referring to. So that's one that just seems way too high for, I don't know, 80-1 2 weeks ago, and he played fine. I don't know why he's 225.
Armour at 300 seems low, but this is the problem with having so many good guys in the field, is that these guys get pushed down. You know what I mean?
And Chesson off his paycheck. I'm not there. I'm just saying.
He's not going to be thirsty.
I got buddies they're not the biggest golf fans.
They're like, I've never heard of this guy.
No, but
and he
it's
looks like a fucking Muppet.
he's 3 shots off the lead. He's 150-1. That's value, right?
No. Stay away. Also, don't bet Chez Reavie to win.
Part of the same conversation.
Yeah.
But I'm like I get from the outsider what you understand of the sport of golf, and that player X is 3 off the lead and they're still hanging that number. But no.
It so rarely happens
That
that guy wins.
No, but even I couldn't even sanction it for the each way potential because just the answer is no.
Will you have any action on these guys who just turned pro? Will you have any Hovland action? I think they all play well.
I want to cheer for them.
If they
I
give
feel
you,
like
if
Hovland,
they give you a Wolf versus Hovland, and it'd probably be Hovland minus 140, I would guess, just based on what their odds are.
I would take Wolf.
I think I would take Wolf
the
too.
mental exhaustion. I mean, listen, he could have the swagger and the confidence, and it go right back to the irons. And I want to say Ben Cauley tweeted out that he was number 1
off the tee.
Granted, it wasn't the most important thing, but as Ben pointed out, this was a man's.
He's playing
field.
against Dustin and Rory. And these types of guys.
Yeah. So for him to be number 1 in any major statistical metric, when you consider who was playing, is kind of beyond comprehension.
And it's not like we haven't seen these guys turn pro and be successful right away. We saw it last year with Neiman.
Rom.
We saw it with Rom. We saw it with Bryson.
But win. But you can each way him.
The wins come.
Yes.
Eventually. So I wouldn't be betting on these guys to win, but I don't know. I feel like if Cuss is going to be on Team Hovland, Team Norway.
Should we adopt Team Wolf here?
I think that Matthew Wolf needs. And my son's name is Wolf.
Oh, this
Matthew
is easy.
Wolf.
This is
I
easy.
feel like this goes hand in hand here.
Yeah.
So the Pat Mayo Experience is officially endorsing Matthew Wolf as our favorite newly turned pro. Well, poor Victor Hovland, stoned Rory, is immediately Andrew.
And what's funny is 3 months ago, that's the incredibly chalk move.
Yeah.
And now we're
it's
not
like
taking
the guy just won the NCAA singles competition.
And now we're taking no, you guys can have Hovland. We'll just hang out here with Wolf and see what happens. That being said, it's hard to cheer against either of them. They both seem like great guys.
Yeah, I think they're both going to be good.
And incredibly likable.
People are going to because they didn't get to see Wolf last week, and the only time that he played pro was at Waste Management. I keep him 50th.
Yeah, and Hovland won the Masters thing. He was in the fucking Butler cabin with Tiger.
Yeah. So people are kind of familiar with him. Once people get a gander at Wolf's swing, they're going to be like, oh my God, it's Jim Furyk with power.
And I get it. I get casual golf fans, even golf fans that know a lot, being really taking notice of Hovland. I got
never heard of Hovland before yesterday.
I got a lot of messages from people about him. I want to bet this guy's going to be cool. My standard reply to every single one of them, pizza is good. Yeah, Hovland, oh, you like pizza? Oh, you think Victor Hovland's good? Find me a bad pizza. Even bad. It's a bad episode of Entourage. Still was a half hour and it was fun and it went by.
Who wins a major first, Ricky or Hovland?
This is the thing. People peppering me with this question. I don't today. I will say Ricky because I believe he's probably in that small window of just turning 30 and maturing and giving zero fucks.
Okay, how about this one? I think this is a fair comparison based on ages and talent. Who wins a major first, Ricky or Fleetwood? Who is in this field that we barely even mentioned?
He had a real ugly weekend.
Yeah, wasn't great. Maybe he can win this. He needs to get an America win here soon, I think.
Again, a lot of them. Again, oh, that's hard. Ricky.
I'll say Tommy.
Because of Tim? Or no, you're no, because you actually
I believe Tommy's going to win
no.
a major.
And like you think Tommy is priced more? No, I know what your real price is for Ricky, and it's higher than your real price for Tommy. If you had to
I'd
make
say
a
it's
board.
probably right around the same. But like, if you're going to convince me, I just like Tommy more, so
Okay.
I'd rather bet on Tommy.
And Tommy, like Tim, has like sort of.
He's really trying to reverse curse him. So, quick picks for the week. Let's talk about this. I am going with an each way, top 5 each way. Emiliano Grillo, Ryan Moore. I'm even overlooking the fact that he wore that stupid tie that time. I'm going to bet on him here. Adam Hadwin, 70-1. Jason Kokrak, 66-1. Of course, I'm always in on C. Woo! Kim at 110 with that each way, especially on a Pete Dye course. And Cameron Champ at 200-1 with the each way. I will give more consideration to some guys at the top of the board, and I'll have my cheat sheet released on Wednesday afternoon if you want to go check that out on my Facebook page. Patrick Reed, I'm going to give a deeper dive into, but that Knox and Streelman tier at 60, that intrigues me. So does Glover, Putnam, and Keegan Bradley at 80 and 90. It just might be a week to pile at the bottom of the card.
Yeah, I agree. And as the show has progressed and we talked about more of those names, I've essentially decided I've eliminated an ability to bet Justin Thomas and Paul Casey.
Okay.
But I still do have an ability to think about Finau and Bryson.
Bryson's one I want to dig into. As
yeah.
well.
So it seems like my card would not start below 30. Bryson being 30, Finau being 35 if I make a move there. Reed, I really want to get behind.
But you like Griot too.
Yes. And I have bet and Griot I have bet.
And Sung Jae we should probably go look at too.
So we asked him to take a week off. He took a week off.
On DraftKings this week, I haven't seen the pricing yet because it's come out during when we were doing the show. But maybe I just won't have any player who's like cost more than $8,500 this week. Let's play everyone in the upper 7s and low 8s. That'll be my move.
One more, I guess, more quick guy. Bud Cauley was gaining a lot of steam too last couple of weeks.
Yeah, he has been.
Nice little short course.
Nick Watney's been gaining some steam lately as well. I don't know.
And then in the really deep ones, I'm also going to think about Keegan.
You should really think about Cameron Champ. The
there's not much-
uncursed Cameron Champ.
There's not much to really have to think about there. And you had mentioned Fratelli. Fratelli at 150, Kyung Hung at 175, and Jonas Blix at 225 are bombs. I'm going to
maybe go into. You'll release your
stare
card.
at.
We'll see if they have it on the list.
Yes, but bets I have made are on and Grillo.
Okay.
Grillo.
One and done picks of the week. Tim, because he had Adam Scott, who I believe was the best of our 3 picks, was it? I had JT. No, I had Day. You had JT.
He was bad.
So I get to pick first. He picked Victor Hovland as his one and done. I'll take Emiliano Grillo as my one and done. Who you got? Byung Hanan?
Patrick Reed.
Patrick Reed as your one and done. What do you think the optimal strategy is for one and done this week? Do you burn one of these top guys? Like, do you say Molinari and say fuck it?
I guess I could. I'm not really sure where we are in the segments, so maybe I guess that could depend on your strategy. If you're battling for it, then
yeah,
you might want to use one of these guys and get your money. But I suck so much at one and done. I'm never in a position to think of optimal strategy for people who are doing well.
I guess that's true. All right, Jeff.
I don't have experience.
Jeff Fienberg at GFienberg17 on Twitter. Congratulations again.
Oh yeah, let's go. The big parade out here today for Gary.
They threw the big parade for you, yes.
Hopefully everybody, like in the time that we've recorded, the core has emptied out.
How many
We'll
people?
see.
Well, you were down there. I walked by on my way in because it's like literally just outside the door. I just took one look. I was like, I am not waiting with this many people around. Like, I'm just going to walk to the office and start recording. It's probably like over 2 million people.
Yeah, I was gonna say at least like 1.5 million to 2, and I'm not surprised. I told with some family yesterday for Father's Day that like whatever they think is coming to downtown tomorrow, it's gonna blow them away.
Subways are shut down. Transit.
I'm
shut
hoping
down.
the stations near us that were closed during the parade have now like reopened. But I think they're still doing the speeches at the square.
Yeah, they were over 2.5 hours late to their final destination.
They had no idea how many people were coming. They could not get the cars and buses through the streets. I was watching on the TV, and the guys hosting said they got a message from the Toronto police. If you were watching on TV, text your friends who you know are there to ask them to move back. That's how ridiculous this shit got today. Happy for everybody.
Real fans are not impressed by the amount of people that have come out to watch the parade.
There are a couple real fans who are triggered, but I don't understand. Like
I don't get it either.
If you're a real fan, everyone who knows you knows you are a real fan, and you should be enjoying that everyone likes what you have always loved so passionately.
People are like fired up. It's fun to see. People are really happy in the city.
It doesn't cost you anything.
No, like it costs you emotional stress for being mad for no reason.
Yes.
The thing that you wanted to happen happened, and now you're mad about it.
But I also
it just shows you that all you really want to do is be mad about things.
But here's the other part of this. I saw a great video of said person from the weekend who said that he had to take his Raptors jersey off because he was getting tired of people talking to him about it.
I wasn't even just talking about Gabe, like specifically. I was just talking about people. It's not just Gabe. It's people like who go to all the games, or they've watched every minute of every game. I'm not fucking watching every minute of every Raptors game.
Gabe, I love Gabe.
You know
but
what
he's
I mean?
also on the internet mad that the NBA store in New York has white mannequins. If you watch this Periscope as he went shopping to buy his Raptors champions gear yesterday. Awesome.
So that's where we're at. You can follow me on Twitter at the PME, same as Instagram, and Facebook is where the Listeners League link is going to be, along with the audio podcast. Hit up the description of those. We cannot put it on YouTube anymore because we don't want to be banned for life. No live chat tomorrow, however, or on Wednesday, with Reed Fowler. We will have Jeff Ulrich breaking down the entire DraftKings slate on Tuesday. Wednesday, fantasy football rankings with Jake Seeley. If you haven't caught up on the quarterbacks or running backs, those ones are already out. You can go check those up on the podcast feed, the YouTube page, or my Facebook page. And again, if we ever disappear from YouTube and you're like, wow, Pat usually puts out like 6 shows a week, and I haven't seen one for 2 weeks. That means we've been banned again. So everything will appear on my Facebook page, so go follow that now. Thank you all for watching. Good luck at the Travelers Championship. I'll see you next time.
Mayo Experience! Experience!